Well, I do everything fair and square and honestly. I've done that all my life. I follow my conscience. I have nothing to apologize for because I know I do things in an honest way. And I think that's the way to go for anybody in office. Having said that, when you empower the people of Illinois to enact ethics laws that they themselves think are important, that's not a Republican or a Democratic or a partisan issue. It's putting the people first. And I think that's what we have to do in our state. We've had the shameful situation where two governors in a row, one a Republican, George Ryan, another one a Democrat, Rod Blagojevich, have both been convicted now of serious felonies, and they're both going to be going to jail. One's in jail, one's going to jail. Now, I think under those circumstances, we need strong medicine. And I think strong medicine is to go to the people of Illinois, the everyday people. They understand what honesty is in their government, and I'm willing as governor to lead the charge to make sure we do have a power in our Constitution that lets the people enact strong ethics laws, what they see fit. And so I think it's important to not put partisanship in the issue, but rather to put citizenship in the issue, which is the citizens call the shots. Well, not every single proposal of the Ethics or the Reform Commission was adopted, although I will point out that I appointed that Reform Commission. They made a number of recommendations. A good number of them were adopted into law. One that was not was open primary, to allow people to vote in a primary without having to publicly disclose their party affiliation. I think that's worthy of consideration for the next primary and those beyond. I also think that looking at campaign finance again is something worth trying. And I also feel that we should make sure in our state that we have at every level the power of recall, not just for governor, but all the statewide officials, for that matter, legislators, and certainly local officials should be subject to it. I think recall is a good way to keep every office holder on their toes 365 days a year. We've passed it thanks to a constitutional amendment that I championed. I spoke before the Reform Commission about it. I think that those are the kind of things that we need to do. Well, I happen to believe that the best way to go is public financing and allowing that we take the big money out of politics and put the people back in. And there have been a number of states, Arizona is one, Massachusetts, Connecticut, I think Vermont and Maine, have adopted what they call the clean election system, which really revolves on small donations in campaigns. And I think that's worth looking at again in Illinois. It was part of the law I signed. Matter of fact, the provision I demanded be part of the law. There's a ongoing campaign finance review board, and I've appointed Lindsay Hanson Anderson to be the chairperson of that, that looks at exactly these issues and make sure that we are not losing track of campaign finance reform. I do want to talk about one issue that I think is exceptionally important at all levels of government, and that's abolishing conflict of interest. Our legislature right now does not have a mandatory conflict of interest provision. A number of legislatures around the country do. Our Supreme Court does, and so do mayors, and people like me in statewide office have conflict of interest provisions. I really feel that that's another area to look at to prevent any kind of wrongdoing by strengthening our provisions against conflict of interest. Well, especially for lawmakers, so that those who are in writing the laws have the same kind of standards that those in other branches of government have. There's a lot to be done. I'm sure there are many people with many ideas, but I want to come back to this concept of how do you let 1,000 flowers bloom when it comes to ethics and integrity in government. It's not just to say that the people in government have a monopoly on all the good ideas. It's to empower and strengthen the voters. In a democracy, the strength of the democracy are the everyday people who are the heart and soul of the democracy. And so giving them the lawmaking power by referendum to pass strong ethics standards at the local level and at the state level, that's imperative in Illinois. That's our calling. That's our mission. It seems to me after 2 straight governors have been convicted of serious felonies, it's time to turn the page, and we have, and make sure that we trust the people, and we have to. The people are the heart and soul of the democracy.
Governor, given the fact that you were Rod Blagojevich when he made so politically, at least from an electoral standpoint, close to Rod Blagojevich?
Well, I think Rod Blagojevich deceived and misled lots and lots of people in Illinois, the voters included, and the facts that came out in this trial with the conviction by the jury speak for themselves. I think that what I've tried to do every day that I was in office, whether I was state treasurer or lieutenant governor or now governor, is to do the right thing all the time and do the honest thing that I see as following my conscience. And
He deceived you.
I think he deceived everyone. He didn't follow what he was saying in public, what he did in private. And I think we learned that through this trial and through the actions of the jury that he has committed serious crimes, and he will have to pay for that. I regret, that the toll on his family. I know his wife for many years. She's a very good person, Patty Blagojevich, and their wonderful children. I'm very sorry that happened to their family, but you have to be accountable for your deeds. And unfortunately, former Governor Blagojevich committed crimes, according to a jury, 12 men and women, good and true, and so did George Ryan. And they're going to both be in jail. And I think it should be an alarm bell to all of us in Illinois, in government and outside of government, to work together to strengthen our democracy. And I can think of no better way of doing that than a constitutional amendment that gives voters more power when it comes to enacting ethical standards in government, state and local. I don't want to see anybody go to jail. I hope they follow the law and not have that situation happen to them. But I also believe that our system of law and order, when a jury, having heard evidence, both sides, comes to a verdict, we honor that. We honor that system. And you have to pay the price when you commit a crime.
Have you called him? Are you going to visit him in jail? Have you called him?
I really haven't talked to Rod Blagojevich in a very, very long period of time. He didn't talk to me when I was in office. Here.
Do you plan on talking to him?
Not really.
Are you ashamed
No. I did my job. I was elected, or I was nominated as lieutenant governor in 2002. He didn't support me in the primary. I ran on my own, and I was nominated by the people. I had no idea who the people would nominate for governor. At that time, the two offices were nominated separately. And so I followed my conscience and, got nominated, and that's the way it is.
How do you miss anything?
Well, I think everybody can look backwards, but I prefer to look forwards. I think that since I've been governor, we've greatly reformed our state government. You have an honest governor who believes in honesty all the time and taking care of the people. And that's what I've done. I ran in an election in November of last year, and the people voted for me by majority. And my job is to carry out the mission I've always talked about in my whole life, both in and out of government, and that's making everyday people come first. And I do believe that the voice of the people often in Springfield is not heard. And I think we need to find ways in our democracy to strengthen that voice, especially in the area of integrity in government. And so we're not done yet. We have a long way to go. And we've made some progress. I don't want to say we haven't since December 9th of 2008, that arrest, and then the impeachment and removal on, I think, January 29th of 2009. I think people know they have a governor who's honest and who's committed to reform, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this together with the people. Well, when somebody misleads you, I feel that they're responsible for their deceptions, and I think everyone in our state was misled by the previous governor, and we learned that in this trial, and the jury found him guilty. Well, he had an opportunity in court to make that case, and the jury didn't believe him that that was within the bounds of the law. I believe in the jury system. I think it is the genius of American democracy that we have 12 everyday people, not celebrities, not insiders. They're picked in a fair way, and they hear all the evidence from both sides, and they come to a a verdict according to their conscience. And I really feel that is the greatest protection we have for justice in America, certainly here in Illinois, to have a jury system. And so I honor the jury's verdict.